Okay, so Boruto 2 Blue Vortex Chapter 10 just came out recently, and there's a lot of things that happen in here, so I'm very excited to talk about it. Before we do that, do me a huge favor, drop a like, comment, subscribe, just to show me that you guys like more videos like this. Join the Discord server if you want to talk with me or the community, especially about some theories you guys have about the Divine Trees. I'm very curious to hear that. And without wasting too much time, let's jump straight into it. So the chapter opens up with Inojin, Shikadai, and Himawari all trying to escape the Divine Trees. We have Jura and Hidari, which I've already discussed their powers, abilities, and their identities in previous videos, so I'm not really going to talk too much about that or go too much in depth. Jura starts with speculating as to why they're actually trying to run away, as they know they can't outrun them, and they're soon intercepted with Konohamaru and a group of Jonin. Meanwhile, Shikamaru is communicating with Kawaki and Boruto via a separate line. He tells Kawaki to ignore Boruto and focus on the Divine Trees as they're all a common enemy, and we have Delta following close behind. And then we have Boruto immediately after telling Shikamaru that he's fine, he just needs to take a minor break. So Jura decides to go after Inojin and Himawari, because we know that their target is Himawari mainly because she has the Nine Tails within her, as we saw in the last chapter. And Hidari decides to stay and take care of the Jonin. They're a little confused as to the fact that they were told that Sasuke was one of the trespassers, but this wasn't really Sasuke, where the sensory ninja on the other end communicate to them that this chakra signature is an exact match of Sasuke, which we already knew, but I guess is further confirmation. And right on cue, Sarada intercepts them and is immediately attacked by Hidari Shinju. Nothing particularly new here. We see that he uses the claw mark ability, which all the Shinju should have access to, but he also utilizes the Chidori, and this was confirmed to be a Chidori by Sarada herself. She's able to swiftly dodge this while using her own Sharingan and counters with her own Chidori. Now this is actually very important because this really goes to show how strong Sarada actually is here, because these Shinju are the same ones that were able to put Code in his place and cause even Boruto to want to retreat. And the fact that she could even dodge this should scale her pretty high, assuming that at bare minimum this Divine Tree is as strong as Sasuke. That's kind of saying a lot here. Sarada soon comes to the realization that this Divine Tree is likely the one that was manifested from the absorption of Sasuke. And then we jump over to the Nine Tails within Himawari talking within their own consciousness. And we finally get our answer as to if this is a brand new Nine Tails or if this is the same Nine Tails from Naruto, because I put a poll out not too long ago asking you guys what you guys thought, and nobody really had any idea. I talked about it briefly, but we finally got our concrete answer. But he does shed a light on a couple of things that have never really been fully explained. The first is the location in which Naruto usually talks to Kurama. We knew that this was within his consciousness, but this is confirmed that this is their consciousness made visible and that they were currently exchanging words mind to mind. He also makes a very interesting comment, which I'm not entirely sure how to take. I'm curious to see what you guys think. He mentions that they are a single body and soul. Now we do know that the chakra inhabits Himawari, but the statement that they're not only within a single body but a single soul is something very interesting, because that's something that we know was not necessarily the case with Naruto when he had the Nine Tails. We know that Naruto had his own soul and the Nine Tails had his own soul as well. And we also know that Naruto's soul was a reincarnation of Ashura Tsutsuki's. And the reason for the single soul, which I think some people might have overlooked, is actually potentially elaborated upon in a second. Going to answer the question, the Nine Tails is very aware of the previous Nine Tails' existence and refers to it as himself, so we do know that this is the same Nine Tails, and he goes on to put more details into what we already knew. We knew that the Biju come back to life after a certain amount of time. Straight from Kurama's mouth himself, he states that death is not eternal for the Biju, and that even if their flesh or soul perishes over time, a kernel of them will sprout somewhere and they'll return to life. And he also mentions that they don't really get to choose where they come back, and it seems to be just fate. Or it could be the fact that Himawari inherited a sliver of his chakra. That would make sense as to them having the same soul, but I might just be reading into it a little bit too much. To move forward, Himawari officially introduces herself, and she snaps back into reality where Jura is actively attacking Inojin, Shikadai, Himawari, and Chocho, and they don't really make a it very far because they're hit with a tailed beast ball, and everybody crashes to the ground, but their landing is nullified by Chocho. And Kurama goes on to state a couple of very interesting things. For example, that Himawari has a greater affinity for his chakra than even Naruto did, and any of his predecessors, as a matter of fact. She seems kind of in despair, calling out to Kurama, but he tells her not to be a spoiled brat, in that it's all up to her whether to use his powers or not. So she lunges at Judah, and as we pretty much all expected, she just gets her leg shattered. She's then pinned, and Inojin uses his beast scrolls to summon a beast, but again, nothing's really doing anything at the moment. And as he lunges to protect her, he is impaled by Judah Shinju, and this is the breaking point for Himawari. She breaks out of bondage, her leg heals in an instant, and she enters a tailed beast state pretty similar to Naruto's when he initially used the Kyuubi cloak. A Kyuubi cloak is not visible, but we don't really have too many panels to go off of. But this seems to be very similar to when Naruto used his tailed beast cloak both against Neji and against Zabuza and Haku. But the main difference here is that the Ninetales seems to be a little bit more sane with a little less aggression, and they already seem to be on a good foot, whereas in Naruto's case, he was just borrowing some of Kurama's chakra because Kurama basically had to give him chakra because he didn't want his vessel to die. And that's where we leave off, but this leaves us with a lot of questions. I want to see how strong this is going to make her. I doubt that this Ninetales is as strong as the one that Naruto had. I think this is pretty self-explanatory as it's represented by a Kurama that's just a child, and obviously Himawari herself is very likely much weaker than Naruto, so even though she has a greater affinity to the Ninetales' chakra, I think it's kind of unlikely that she's going to be as strong as Naruto. I think it might take a little bit of time for her to really be able to capitalize on all that power available to her. And I'm actually very curious to see if she's going to unlock a sort of KCM Kyuubi chakra mode transformation in the near future, because Naruto unlocked KCM 2 when he gained cooperation with the Ninetales, but it seems that she already has cooperation with the Ninetales, but is not quite able to access the Kyuubi chakra state. So I'm curious to see how they're going to illustrate her obtaining that transformation, since she's already starting out on good terms with the Ninetales. It's pretty unlikely that she would inherit any of the 6 paths chakra that Naruto is able to attain from Hagoromo, but she also does have a greater affinity for the Ninetales' chakra, so who knows, maybe she'll have her own KCM 3 state. Anyways, let me know what you guys thought down below. There's a lot to talk about here, and let me know what you guys think of Himawari's transformation. Do you guys think Naruto's eventually going to get Kurama back? I mean, I think I'm being a little too hopeful here, but I would really like that to be the case. But anyways, if you guys like more videos like this, do me a huge favor and like, comment, and subscribe, as well as joining our Discord server if you want to talk with me directly or the community, and check out our channel hoodies if you want to support the channel so we can keep making more content like this, and I'll catch you in the next one.